What's going on, everyone? I'm just your typical everyday Canadian nerd here to react to your typical standard everyday American man, here to learn about delicious foods that are unique to Canada. You might know, if you've seen some of my other videos, I've been changing the way that the microphone is placed, and I'm hoping that this is improving the sound quality. I know that some of you have noticed sound issues in my previous videos. I'm trying to get the balances, I'm trying to get the settings right, and I think I've got it. But hey, if you notice any issues with the sound quality, please make sure to give me some details in the comments below. Now, without much ado, let's get right into this mouth-watering episode. You can see the beaver tails on screen right now. Oh, as someone who grew up in Ottawa, where the beaver tail originated, I want beaver tail so bad right now, just looking at these pictures. Not the pretzel and marshmallow, but like the banana and chocolate peanut. Like, oh, that one looks good. But all the beaver tails, even just the plain cinnamon and sugar beaver tail, is fantastic. And to any non-Canadians out there, or someone who's never had a beaver tail, no, they are not beaver's tails. They are a pastry that just happens to be inspired by a beaver's tail. So with that little tidbit out of the way, let's get Tyler's picture out of the way. We'll get this video started.
Average American.
Oh,
here
hey,
today.
whoa.
What's going on, everyone?
There we go.
I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about iconic Canadian foods that you need to try before you die, according to this video. Okay, I mean...
All right, so if they're iconic, I'm going to go with a few guesses, right? The beaver tail, obviously. There's probably going to be the maple dip donut, because maple. There's going to be the Nanaimo bar, poutine, obviously. What else? Oh, Screech. Oh, Newfie Screech. I hope so. Let's get into it.
If I'm dying, if I'm hit by a bus and I'm lying in the gutter, dying, I'll make sure to tell the ambulance or
a tortilla maybe,
whoever's picking me up on my deathbed to make sure they stuff this Canadian food down my bleeding throat. Is that enough of a grave image for you?
Oh, dude, yeah. If you actually end up in that circumstance, you will want the sweetness of a tortilla shoved in your face. Yeah.
Start out this video. But seriously, I honestly don't have any idea what you would consider iconic Canadian food. Americans are well aware of maple syrup. You know, that's pretty much what we think about when we think about Canadian food.
Is that like our entire identity boiled down to maple syrup? Get it? Boiled? Because maple syrup is
is put maple syrup on stuff,
boiled,
make it flavored maple syrup, probably freeze the maple syrup and lick it like ice cream or something. You know, maybe I'm totally wrong.
Yeah, when you freeze it, you don't really lick it. It's kind of more chewy. I mean, I guess that depends how it was frozen. Like, what if it was flash frozen or freeze dried? Then you might want to lick it.
But maybe I'm totally right. You ever think about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Before I go on for too long, let's check out some iconic Canadian food.
Yeah.
I mean, this looks tasty, whatever this is.
Oh, it is.
Fried dough topped with peanut butter, chocolate, and Reese's Pieces sound absolutely delicious to you?
Yes.
What about a perfectly made bagel with a surprising hint of sweetness?
The Montreal bagel. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you said yes, then you might just be a fan.
Oh, the pastrami, Montreal smoked beef. Yes.
Of Canadian cuisine.
I'm a fan. Okay. All right. I mean, is this common Canadian food, or is this kind of like snack food, or I don't know yet.
One of the most famous
Depends.
Canadian culinary exports is undoubtedly poutine.
Poutine.
La
This is like
poutine.
the only thing I know about. Only because I've checked out some other Canadian stuff before this. With other
Delicieuse.
reactions. I'm aware of poutine.
S'il y avait 2 journées, je voulais avoir quelque chose un peu canadien, un peu italien. Alors j'ai allé à une pâtisserie, j'ai demandé du ciabatta, il y avait pas, mais j'ai vu des cheese curds, et ouais, je les ai achetés.
It looks fantastic. Looks delicious. This does not exist in any capacity in America, ever, anywhere.
No.
But once you kind of accept what it's made of, it's like cheese and gravy and fries. Yeah.
It's like cheese and gravy and fries, but it's more than just cheese, gravy, and fries. It has to be cheese curds, it has to be a poutine sauce, and, I mean, just don't use shoestring fries.
That sounds great. Like, it sounded super strange at first, just because those things are not really put together, but it's kind of like a potato, fries with cheese. You could do that,
Yeah.
gravy on it. Sounds delicious, actually. This is
So
probably
good.
like something I would absolutely try.
This
Yeah.
Québécois dish consists of French fries topped with cheese curds and gravy.
No,
Cheese curds.
it's not just gravy.
Does that change my opinion? What is a cheese curd?
Okay. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet eating her curds and whey. You ever had cottage cheese? Cottage cheese is curds and whey. Take away the liquid, you've got cheese curds.
See, I'm not a big cheese head, if that makes sense. Cheese curd.
Wow. I've
How
got
is cheese stated?
I've got a book back here. It's all about cheese from around the world. Like, I'm not joking. Let me just fetch this book. The World Encyclopedia of Cheese. Do you really need to be a cheesehead to know about cheese curds? Hey, maybe I'm just lucky having grown up in a region where cheese curds are normal.
Together like that. Curdled milk. Ugh. No, I'm just kidding. Even though that sounds disgusting. I mean, it's just like any cheese, right? Even if it's...
Cheese curds are a special kind of cheese in that when you chew them, they squeak.
I mean, all cheese is kind of curdled in some sense to make it solid, and I eat solid cheese. I approve of it. I'll deal with it.
The demand for poutine is so immense that major fast food chains like McDonald's and
Yeah.
Burger King have included it on their Canadian menus.
No, I'd say the best fast food poutine that you get in Ontario comes from Harvey's, and it's even better the next day.
Yeah, I'm not surprised poutine isn't a thing in America, because it's absolutely not. And I feel like it needs to be.
And there's even
does.
an annual Major League Poutine eating contest.
Oh, yeah.
Poutine's origins are hotly debated, with many restaurants understandably wanting to claim to be the spot that started the sensation.
Yeah.
But it just
Oh.
seems wrong to fight about this when there's so much deep-fried, gravy-covered
Oh,
cheesy
wow.
goodness to go around.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Americans would love this. They'd eat this up. Oh my god.
Absolutely. This should be American food. And I'm shocked whenever I go to the States and I try to get a poutine and they're like, "A what?"
So this was invented in a Canada?
En Quebec.
Canada? This was invented in Canada? That's what happens when you're in between saying Canadian and Canada. Canada. I need to go to this mythical island of Canada someday where it's made of poutine there, I believe.
Poutine has gone from a Quebec snack favorite to a standout dish in many restaurants.
Okay.
Almost every country in the world has some version of a meat pie. Britain
Meat pie.
This is a Christmas time favorite, but also good all year round.
Says every country has some version of a meat pie. Yet America
Yeah.
does not have a version of a meat pie.
No?
And honestly, the phrase meat pie kinda grosses me out.
Oh, dude, you never had a steak and kidney pie? Oh, the kidney is the best part of it.
although I like meat and I like pie. But meat pie, all of our pies are either a dessert, very chocolatey, or they're fruity, like cherry pie. There's no meat pie.
What about a chicken pot pie? A shepherd's pie? These are all meat pies, aren't they?
Ever. It's very rare. It's not completely unheard of, but yeah,
right.
You get it.
Mincemeat pie, yeah.
It has steak and kidney, and empanadas.
Kidney? Like kidney, the organ?
Correct. It has a wonderful texture to it when properly cooked.
Kidney? No.
World has some version of a meat pie. Britain has steak and kidney, and empanadas are the stuffed pastry of choice throughout Latin America.
See?
Americans, of course, are big fans of a good old-fashioned chicken pot pie.
Right.
I mean, that is a gross exaggeration. Chicken pot pie, I mean, in certain parts of the United States, at certain times of the year, maybe Thanksgiving,
right?
Or if grandma will whip you one up, if it's kind of a family recipe. But to say that Americans are chowing down on chicken pot pies, that's just not true.
Wow, that makes it sound like I've had more chicken pot pie in my life than Tyler has. This is astounding. But don't get me wrong, I love a good chicken pot pie.
As for Canadians, they love a delicious tortilla. Tortilla is a baked meat pie that consists of a bottom layer of pie pastry and a meat-filling center. Then it's topped with another covering of pie pastry before being baked in an oven. The meats used for tortilla are traditionally pheasant, rabbit, moose, or pigeon. The more contemporary...
Oh my goodness. See, I was going to say this sounds fine. Just bread
it's
and
good.
meat in the shape of a pie.
Yeah.
But Americans don't eat any other meats. And I don't agree with this. I think we should branch out, by the way.
You gotta listen to what's said after the word but, because when dealing with people, ignore everything that happens before the but. Because if you're gonna say, oh, I mean, like, 9/11 was terrible, but, and then say anything else, it just ignores the first part of it. Which is why I didn't say anything to follow that.
But we only eat cow, pig, chicken, never rabbit, pheasant, moose. What did she say? We never eat those animals.
Yeah, never have fish, crab, shrimp, crawdad, lobster. No, none of that ever.
So I wouldn't be used to that. But I would give it a try.
Used for tortilla are traditionally pheasant, rabbit, moose, or pigeon.
Wow, yeah. Americans don't eat those meats, so that makes it interesting in like a totally different way.
The more contemporary versions can include pork, beef, or veal. It's
normally
served during the holidays, which makes sense as the spice mix
Oh, it is a holiday dish, kind of like the chicken pot pie that I never have. Okay, so this is like a holiday meat pie.
Includes cinnamon, clove, allspice, and nutmeg. Our favorite tortilla-related tradition is that it's meant to be shared with family and friends.
Yes.
It doesn't get much more Canadian than that, eh?
Wow, that's beautiful. Oh, she's saying
absolutely
A.
true.
Wait, I thought Canadians... I watched another video about Canadian stereotypes. You're not supposed to say A that much as Americans think. But no, this is breaking every preconceived notion I have. Okay.
It's hard to think of Canadian food and not have maple syrup.
Oh, maple syrup is on the list? I mean, what? It's a liquid. It's a drink. It's not a food. Actually, syrup. Wow, is that a liquid? Or I mean, it's not a drink. Unless you want to put it in your cup and drink it.
Maple syrup is a liquid. It is a solid. It is a food, and it is a drink. Yes.
Then it is a drink. All right, it's a food. I'll give it to you.
Pop into your head. After all, the country's flag features the maple leaf as the bright and beaming center of attention, and deservedly so. As of 2020, Canada is reportedly the world's leading producer and exporter of maple products.
Yeah, Americans definitely think of maple syrup when they think of Canada, and I think it's justified after seeing some of these things about how much Canadians do eat maple syrup. And Americans love maple syrup. We just don't have it all the time. I don't know how I would explain it.
Oh, it's not like we have it all the time either. We just have a lot of it.
Americans have so many different things for breakfast, but when they do have pancakes, they have syrup, maple syrup. So it's fairly common. I'd say it's absolutely common.
Accounting for 79% of the global market, maple syrup.
79% of the world's maple syrup
is Canadian.
Canada? My God.
Syrup and maple sugar products are created from the gathering and cooking of maple tree
Frankly,
sap, which is
I'm surprised it's not more than 79%.
These techniques were originally discovered by indigenous peoples and later adopted by French settlers. Maple syrup is so prevalent in Canada.
Look at that little maple leaf shaped bottle. I wish we had bottles like that.
Standard tourist attractions. Heck, being in the Niagara Falls region, if you're going to any souvenir shop, you're going to find those bottles. Absolutely.
For our syrup? That just makes it even better. That's a nice bottle.
That it sneaked its way into many otherwise traditionally unsweetened foods and beverage items, such as tea bags and protein powder. Of course, its hand in the dessert industry is also significant, with treats like maple cookies and maple candies readily available for Canucks with a sweet...
What are they doing?
Canuck? I've always thought it was Canuck.
Wait, they're rolling... Yeah, they're doing the thing where you roll the syrup in snow and chew on it? Okay. I mean, when in Canada, I guess, put your maple syrup in a bunch of dirty snow on the ground and lick it off sticks? Okay.
Tooth.
What's the matter? Your mama didn't teach you how to chug? Come on, Thorn. Come on, Thorn.
Oh, God.
Oh.
The beavertail is a Canadian national treasure. From
Really? Beavertail.
Columbia to Nova Scotia, so many Canadians have a soft spot for this chewy treat made from hand-stretched wheat dough. While the traditional version...
I mean, Americans love pastries.
That's
They
it.
go nuts for pastries. I go nuts for pastries.
That's all it is.
These, donuts and whatnot. And this
Pretty
kinda
much.
looks like what?
version is topped with a simple dusting of cinnamon and sugar. The beavertail has evolved over the years into more than just a dessert, depending on where you are in Canada.
I mean, that looks good right there. Whatever that right there. If that's a beavertail,
yeah.
that looks good. Americans would definitely like that.
For
So
example,
good.
in Vancouver, you can get a salmon tail, which substitutes the standard sweet topping for a combination of cream cheese and capers. In
Capers? What's a caper? Capers.
Acquired taste, I think.
Oh, capers.
I've never been a fan.
Me.
It's been a long time.
Is this what it means? Is this what it means? It's a perennial plant bearing rounded fleshy leaves? Is there any way that's it? I mean, this says you can eat them.
Yeah, it's like, imagine a tiny olive that doesn't taste like olive. That's the best I can say.
Okay, maybe that's what a caper is. I don't know.
Mont Tremblant, you can pick up a ham and cheese tail or a steak-topped.
Did she say Mont Tremblant? It's Mont Tremblant, as in the shaky mountain. The trembling mountain, but yeah, the shaky mountain. Wow. Which Mont Tremblant, by the way, has a ski resort, and long ago, I'm not sure if it's still true, a water park for the summertime.
Tail. A specialty of Halifax is the...
Oh my God, look at this. Look at this thing. That looks good. That right there. Give me that. I want it.
Triple Trip Beavertail, which is topped with peanut butter, chocolate, and Reese's Pieces.
Okay. Oh, that's
It's
good.
even a popular Canadian restaurant.
That would be the most popular one, by the way, in America. By far, Canadians open up a store in America, sell these things, call them Beavertails. It's a fun name. Americans will love it. You'll be rich. You're welcome.
Chain
Yeah.
called Beavertails, which has been serving up this iconic indulgence since 1978.
Cool.
The butter tart is one sugary sweet dessert that certainly deserves its highly esteemed reputation.
So good. Do you like your butter tart with raisins or without raisins? I'm a raisin purist. Let me know what you think.
Butter tart. Is it a buttery tart by chance?
A traditional
caramelly?
Canadian butter tart is a tiny pastry with a wonderfully runny or semi-solid center. The filling is made from butter, sugar, syrup, and egg, then
So good.
poured into a
So
pastry
good.
shell and baked until the filling is semi-solid or runny.
That sounds good.
It
I would
is
eat
good.
that. I would eat that right there.
You should.
Bite.
Depending on your preference. And then it's finished off with a crunchy top. As noted by food bloggers of Canada, the women's auxiliary of the Royal Victoria...
What's this called again? It's a butter tart.
Yeah.
Canadian foods have such fun names. Way more fun than American stuff. Poutine, Beavertail. What is this tart? Butter tart. Yeah, that's some names I can get behind. Seriously.
Victoria Hospital cookbook contains the first documented recipe for butter tarts.
Okay, if he's saying that those are fun names, what kind of American foods have less fun names? I'd love to know what he's comparing this to. What do I know though? You know, I'm just a Canadian.
Published in 1900 in Barrie, Ontario, this appears to be the source that started it all. The original versions were made with maple sugar, freshly churned butter, and dried fruit, such as raisins or currants.
Is it a rite of passage to have a butter tart made with that original recipe for butter tarts?
No, the new recipe is the standard.
That very first recipe? Is that like you become an adult when you finally can capture that butter tart and eat it?
I like that idea, though.
They gained popularity in the 1920s, and the rest is beautifully buttery history. Much like the butter tart, the Nanaimo bar is yet another deliciously decadent Canadian dessert.
Oh. Nanaimo bar.
So good.
A lot of desserts here. I'm not upset with that. I'm not, but this should have been like iconic Canadian desserts, right?
That's my favorite baked good to make in my kitchen, and it barely even needs to be baked. In fact, it doesn't go in the oven at all.
Not just foods. Nanaimo bar. Most of these look pretty delicious. I mean, the thing is, how wrong can you go with desserts, you know? You can't really screw dessert up. I mean...
Okay, how many times have you been to some sort of formal function where a lot of people brought a lot of foods, or like a potluck, okay? And then there's this tray of random desserts, and you're like, oh, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. None of those desserts are as good as the Nanaimo bar or the butter tart. Full stop. Truth.
At least that's the Americans' philosophy, anyway.
Constructed of a graham cracker crumb and shredded coconut base, a custard-flavored butter icing in the center, and a chocolate ganache on top.
Yeah.
Oh, this is kind of fancy. Oh, those look very fancy.
So good.
Is this fancy?
So simple.
That's a fancy name. Nanaimo
so good.
bar. They look good.
The Nanaimo bar is a 3-layered, no-bake delight that's famous throughout the country.
Oh.
The Nanaimo
no-bake. Yeah, Americans are into that. Yeah. Into that as well, the no-bake stuff. Okay.
bar is so popular that its origins are hotly disputed, as everyone wants a piece of the coconutty credit. According to legend, a group of friends from Nanaimo, British Columbia...
Oh, it's a place. Okay. That actually sounded like it was from China or Japan or something, given, like, you know, just the way things sound phonetically, words, sounded like maybe an Asian word or something, Nanaimo.
Then the A's would sound different, like Nanaimo.
But no, it's a place in Canada. Who knew?
Found the recipe in the Vancouver Sun. At the time, it was known as chocolate fridge cake, and the friends changed the name in honor of their hometown. The recipe made its way throughout the...
Wait, it was just a bunch of kids making these and sticking them in the fridge?
No.
Found the recipe in the Vancouver Sun. At the time, it was known as chocolate fridge cake, and the friends changed the name in honor of their hometown.
Okay.
The recipe made its way throughout the province's communities, circulated by housewives and home bakers. This story's validity is unconfirmed, but it has a nice ring to it, so we'll...
Man, this stuff must have been good, if that story has any truth.
Oh, it is good, and that custard filling can be made in so many different ways, one of them using real custard.
These kids just spread the word about it, and it caught on like wildfire. Became a Canadian national dessert, practically.
Happily spread it. The bars enjoyed a rise to fame during Expo 86 in Vancouver, and they've been a national jewel ever since.
People there seem to take the Nanaimo bar very seriously.
Okay, yeah, I mean...
We do.
Can you take a Nanaimo bar too seriously? No. I mean, look at it.
Yes.
Montreal's travel website describes the city's signature smoked meat as a beef brisket that's often piled high between rye bread and served with mustard and a fresh dill pickle.
Oh, that's the way.
I mean, Americans love their smoked meat. Don't question me. We love it. So, this Montreal smoked meat, is that what we're kind of calling it?
Often piled travel website.
Montreal smoked meat.
Get that on a Montreal bagel?
And probably is.
Rye bread and served with mustard and a fresh dill pickle. Unlike New York-style pastrami, Montreal smoked meat uses the entire brisket, whereas the NYC deli equivalent is taken from the much leaner navel cut. The spice mix is also different, with pastrami...
I actually didn't know that.
Well, this makes sense why I've always liked the Montreal smoked meat better than the New York smoked beef.
But, you know.
Heavier on the sugar, and Montreal meat relying more on black peppercorn and other spices.
Oh, yeah.
Montreal smoked meat is so popular that it's now popping up in many other culinary preparations, such as a top poutine and as a pizza topping.
Oh, combo!
So good.
You can put the Montreal smoked meat with your poutine. Wow,
Yeah,
that's a
do
deadly
it.
combo.
Do it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Do it.
I'd eat that up.
Many deli counters and restaurants in Montreal all claim to have the best version. It's a hotly debated topic, but we think the only responsible choice is to hop on a plane to Montreal and decide for yourself.
I was gonna say, I'll sample it all. I'll sample all the smoked meats. I'll tell you what the best is.
Well, Tyler, if you're going to do that, you really have to leave your room once in a while.
You just gotta give me enough. That's the only condition.
Now this would be a lot easier to eat if I wasn't getting the stink eye from the gentleman behind the camera. Yes, I'll save you half.
Jumping into the sugar-coated fun of the other delicious desserts on this list, Saskatoon berry pie is...
Saskatoon berry pie. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not much of a pie guy.
Oof. And the berry pie is among the best of the pies, right up there with peach pie, apple pie, strawberry rhubarb pie, Saskatoon berries. Oh yeah.
That could be a song. Not much of a pie guy, you know. So I don't.
Well, I'm a guy who likes a pie, but I'm not much of a pie guy. Yeah, that's how you start a song.
Get too excited by these berry pies, but this is certainly something Americans would enjoy. You know, a fruity, delicious pie.
Jumping into the sugar-coated fun of the...
Saskatoon, is that a place?
In Saskatchewan. And that's about all I know about Saskatoon. Like, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. That's just like, it's the name and the berry pie. And I guess I need to spend more time in Saskatchewan.
I feel like that's a place.
Other delicious desserts on this list. Saskatoon berry pie is a regional trademark of Western Canada. The tasty appeal of these berries, which grow from the plains to the coast of British Columbia, dates all the way back to their use.
Wow, look at those berries. Those are like the most whimsical, plump, juicy berries. Okay, I gotta stop
They good.
admiring the berries.
By Canada's indigenous peoples. They were often ground into a paste and dried for winter storage. They've since made a name for themselves in the Canadian pastry world, and interestingly enough, they're protected by the catalog of foods known as the International Arc of Taste.
Wow, you know, if I enjoyed fruity tooty, delicious pies, I would like this. This looks good.
Saskatoon berries are similar to blueberries in both appearance and flavor, though they're harder and have smaller seeds. They are also drier and earthier in flavor.
So it is its own berry. A Saskatoon berry is its own type of berry. That's why they looked kind of unique. That's interesting.
Served in many Saskatchewan and Alberta pastry shops and confectionaries, the famous Saskatoon berry pie is made from flour, pastry, butter, eggs, and of course, Saskatoon berries.
Yeah.
Often paired with vanilla ice cream or whipped cream, this pie is a Canadian culinary treasure.
Lots of Saskatoon berries, yeah.
Saskatoon berries, okay.
If you grew up in the United States, chances are you know pea meal bacon as Canadian bacon.
I just took a chunk of pea meal bacon out of my freezer because all these Canadiana videos are making me want some pea meal back bacon. Oh.
Ah, Canadian bacon. Isn't that just ham? Or Canadian bacon is kind of a funny thing in America. You don't see it that often, yet every American is kind of aware of it. And whenever it's brought to some kind of a breakfast gathering, I'm like, Canadian bacon? What is that? Like, I don't know if I want to try it. Is it ham? Canadian.
You do want it. It is good.
Bacon.
So salty and
Google?
tasty.
Wait. Apparently it's this guy. No. What? Food. Food. Here we go.
He found the movie.
Cut from pork loin from the back of the pig.
Yeah, there you go. That's the back bacon.
Unlike its fattier cousin that consists of strips of belly, the pea meal variety is lean pork loin that's been brined and rolled in cornmeal. During the mid-1800s, Canada would export its pork to England, which was experiencing a shortage at the time. For preservation purposes, the pork was rolled in ground yellow peas.
That one is apple smoked. Oh, well, applewood, but still, it's a smoked back bacon. So good.
Which is where the name pea meal comes from.
Ah, very interesting. I just realized the reason I don't ever have Canadian bacon is because me and every other American is obsessed with just regular bacon.
Hey, so are we. And it's not like you can only choose one.
The bacon that come in the strips, you know? I don't know what you would call that. Do Canadians call it American bacon?
We call it belly bacon.
Or just bacon?
Just bacon.
I'm just confused. Now that I've been forced to confront the fact that I don't know what you would call that bacon.
Yeah, so regular bacon is bacon. Back bacon or pea meal bacon is the Canadian bacon. And the regular bacon is cut from the fat of the belly, and so it is the belly fat bacon. But we just call it bacon.
Anyway, before my brain explodes, that kind of bacon is just so delicious. I'm always just going to my comfort, eating the normal bacon. So that's kind of why I realized I never tried the Canadian bacon.
There's so much more substance to the back bacon, though. You're not going to get as much fat. You're not going to get the same crisp, but you're going to get so much flavor and texture. It's worth it, Tyler.
When it was there. Sad.
Sometime later, the ground peas were swapped for cornmeal, but the name stuck, at least in Canada. For Americans, though, it will always be known as Canadian bacon. From Eggs Benedict to baked beans, the possibilities for pea meal bacon are endless. And you may already be a fan yourself, even if you're only just now learning about the correct name. The classically Canadian Caesar cocktail may be a drink instead of a food, but it's so often served with edible garnishes that we decided it was safe to count it.
Wow, this drink is so darn good that it's included with the foods. Okay. Let's see what it's got.
Especially since it's basically a magic potion for curing a hangover.
Oh,
known as the Bloody Caesar, this drink is made of vodka, clam juice, tomato juice, spices, and Worcestershire sauce.
My God.
It's typically served in a highball glass that's been rimmed with celery salt and topped with any...
Yeah, this will get you, that would get you going. That would get you up in the morning. Holy.
Number of garnishes.
It's good.
From celery to olives to lime wedges to pickles to even shrimp or bacon. There are even versions complete with hot wings and onion rings.
Oh, look at that. Give me that.
I love it.
I'll try your weird little cocktail if you stick a bunch of sandwiches in it. And
like, if you're okay with tomato juice, then this is a really good cocktail.
Fries. Sign me up.
So make sure you have plenty of room in your belly.
The Caesar really is a national cocktail in Canada by parliamentary decree.
The Caesar was invented in 1969 by restaurant worker Walter Chell, who was an employee of the Calgary Inn. As the inn prepared to open a new restaurant, Chell was asked to create a cocktail.
Bacon! That's normal bacon, by the way.
Yeah.
the American bacon, there it is. No, that's just bacon.
Pickled egg, too.
We're just going to call it bacon.
To commemorate the occasion. In 2006, the Caesar was ranked number 13 on the CBC TV show The Greatest Canadian Invention. Then
Wait, it was the 13th best Canadian invention? Of all inventions in Canada, it was ranked 13th? It must be a really, really freaking good drink.
Oh, yeah, and we have a lot of really good Canadian inventions. Like, I could be wrong on this, but growing up, my grandparents had a cottage on Lake Cashebog, and a few houses down as the boat sails was the guy who got rich off creating Velcro. For NASA.
2009, it received a rather prestigious honor for its 40th anniversary, as Calgary Mayor David Broncagnier declared that the Thursday before Victoria Day, every May, would be Caesar Day.
Wow.
Later that year, Canada Dry Mott's launched an online petition to make the Caesar the official cocktail of Canada. And it would be a fitting distinction, as Canadians order more than 350 million Caesar cocktails every year.
Wow.
Do places usually have a national cocktail? But you know what? I'm not gonna cocktail shame. If Canada has a national cocktail and it's this Canadian or Caesar something, it's the Caesar cocktail. By all means, go for it.
All we can say is cheers, but maybe hold the onion rings.
Oh no!
If you're American,
put them on.
New York is probably the first place you think of when bagels come to mind, and that would be fair, as the Big Apple undoubtedly has some of the best bagels in the world. Chewy, never doughy, beautiful.
Oh, make no mistake, I love a good bagel.
Okay, if you like a good bagel, then New York and Montreal bagels. That's it. Like, there's this place called Kettleman's, and they do a pretty good bagel, but next to a authentic Montreal bagel, Kettleman's is terrible.
I'm getting to this is getting me serious. I love a good bagel. And many Americans really enjoy a good bagel, so I already know I'm going to like this.
Beautifully crusted with a glistening sheen, delicately tangy but never overpowering, New York bagels have earned their glowing reputation. But upon further investigation and research, you'll discover that they have a worthy rival up north in Montreal. While the two types have their similarities, the main difference is in the cooking process. Montreal bagels are first boiled in water that's been sweetened, usually with honey, whereas New York-style bagels are boiled without the sweet addition. Montreal bagels
probably just makes it sweeter, right? Probably pretty good.
Bagels are also traditionally baked in a wood-fired oven, resulting in a richer, more flavorful crust.
Oh, heck yeah. Sign me up.
That's what Kettleman's does, so I guess not that different from having a Montreal bagel. But, hey, you gotta go to Montreal. Montréal. C'est important. Vas-y.
I'll eat all those bagels. I'll take all 100 right there.
They're often a bit smaller than their sometimes massive New York cousins. And they're also traditionally studded with sesame and or poppy seeds. Another notable difference is the topping choice. While New Yorkers and lovers of New York-style bagels everywhere tend to top their bagels high with everything from cream cheese to fried eggs to lox.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of cream cheese on our bagels, that's for sure. Basically anything. What do Canadians put on bagel?
They tend to turn into sandwiches.
Canadians often enjoy their Montreal bagels plain, without adornment at all.
What?
Okay.
What? What's going on here?
Well, that too.
Are we savages?
They're good bagels.
Okay. Just kidding. I've definitely eaten a plain bagel, you know, when the mood strikes me. But in America, a plain bagel, just eating a plain bagel, would actually be seen as strange. It actually would be seen as weird. So take that for what you will.
With that delicious honey-induced sweetness already baked in, any topping would simply be superfluous.
Okay, right. This has the extra...
It's that the bagel can stand alone, whereas a New York bagel is missing something.
Flavor cooked in, and the wood-fired stove, and okay. All right, I get it. I'll eat it plain.
And so as a Montrealer, you come to develop this strong attachment to bagels.
Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of sweet treats on this list, and for that reason alone, we're having a difficult time stopping ourselves from booking a one-way ticket to the land of maple syrup. In the meantime, we'll be salivating over our next Canadian confection selection, the tarte à sucre, also known as sugar pie.
So this, I can tell that's a French name, right? Tarte
Yes.
Sugar pie.
Direct
like
translation.
Sugar pie, you know? If anything with the sugar in the name has got me.
Simple in all the best ways, this dessert happens to be a favorite of Canadian native and top chef judge Gail Simmons. It's filled with a mixture of cream, maple syrup, sugar, and...
Looks kind of liquidy. What's going on here? I mean, I'd still eat it. That's the thing.
I do not like the sugar pie because it's mostly sugar.
I'd still eat this, but why is it like wet? That's not the kind of pie I'm familiar with. But, you know, when in Canada.
And lots of butter, then baked to golden perfection.
I'm starting to think that Tyler really doesn't know what a pie is.
As a holiday tradition in Quebec, many French-Canadian families consider the tarte au sucre to be an integral part of their holiday meals.
Okay.
Served at the end of a festive feast, a slice of sugar pie is often topped with a simple, luscious dollop of whipped cream.
Yeah, I said I'm not a pie guy, but this is a kind of pie I would eat. I enjoy this.
Needing no further adornment. To paraphrase a certain classic Motown song, sugar pie, honey bunch, you know that we love you. We can't help ourselves. Check out one of our newest videos.
Wow. All right. I think that's the end of the list.
And now I want butter tarts.
That was mashed. That was a nice video. Very nice. I like that.
Butter tart, Beavertail, and
okay.
Cuisine.
Well, I'm hungry now.
Yeah.
You got me.
Back bacon.
That's a good sign, actually. That is a sign that the video has been
Wash
a
it down with a
success.
Caesar.
These iconic Canadian foods that I need to try before I die, according to the title of this particular video. I'm
Montreal
actually
smoked
kind of...
beef.
I would happily die with some of these treats in my hand or shoved down my throat.
Yeah.
I'd actually take that. But seriously, most of these actually seemed pretty darn good.
You know, we take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's an entire meal. Like, have your poutine with the smoked meat, a bagel on the side, slice of tortilla, and then, like, your Caesar, the Nanaimo bar, the butter tart, the sugar pie, the Saskatoon berry pie. That's a really good meal.
And, I mean, all of these basically don't exist in America, which is very strange. I wonder if there is things in America, pastries, that seem so common to me that Canadians don't know about.
It took me 35 years to learn what a churro is.
Because I would just think with all these delicious desserts that were presented to me today, Americans love delicious desserts, so I would think they would actually know about them to some extent, but I barely knew any of these besides poutine. So that actually really surprises me how that works.
It doesn't surprise me anymore.
In a different place. I mean, I guess you can only have so many desserts. So I guess that kind of explains it. But if I ever went to Canada, I would try almost every single one of these, except maybe that meat pie. I'd get over it. I'd try the meat pie.
Yeah, do it.
No, this was a good list. That was actually very interesting. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video,
or
if you
this
enjoyed
one,
this reaction, feel free
mine.
to give it a like,
Yeah,
or
do that.
leave a comment.
Comment down
and if
below.
you're interested in more videos like this one,
Like that,
me reacting
like this
to
one,
Canadian culture,
me
Canadian
to him,
foods and things,
learning.
stuff I've never seen
This
from
is
Canada.
introductions.
Feel free to subscribe
yes.
for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Yes, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this even a little bit as much as I've enjoyed it.
What's going on, everyone?
I hope that you get a nice pumpkin pie going on. I hope you have a beaver tail and a poutine and a tortilla and a wonderful day, night, morning, or whatever it is, wherever you are. And I hope you just keep being awesome. Bye. Science. Spirit. Life.